at the Malpas Yesteryear Rally. Yeah, the Uni Horse. Isn't that just fantastic? Next up we have a Thames, the Ford Thames lorry, a Phase 1 Vanguard of the late 1940s, Shropshire registered. There's a Sentinel steam lorry, 1933. Two very different cars parked over here. Stationary engine. There's a beautiful low slung rudge. I've got to come and have a look at this. You can hold that, sir. Yeah. I've actually bought an old sack. Well, good morning folks, welcome to Old Classic Car. Today we are firing up the trusty Standard 8, the 1956 Standard 8, because we are off to the Malpas Yesteryear Rally to admire hopefully a huge variety of classic cars, vans, lorries, tractors, steamers, and I'm hoping quite a few motorcycles as well. So let's get on with it. I'm actually recording this in September and it's certainly got an autumn feel to it now. Well, here we go, safe and sound here in the car park, the public car park at the Malpas Yesteryear Rally. There's a great VW camper just here in the public car park. Well, we're in now. This is the classic caravan parking area. We'll probably have a look around here a little bit later. And next to this G-Wagon caravan combo, we have a Corsair convertible, a Crayford modified Corsair convertible from 1967. Various aeroplane cockpits over here. What do I see here? G-EBZM. That is the Avro Avian that Dad and his mates rescued many years ago in the early 1960s from Lim Grammar School. I do have a photo somewhere of that particular aeroplane perched on the roof of an E83W when it was being collected quite a few years ago. Quite the assortment of vintage and classic bicycles here, close to the caravan section. Yeah, some real beauties here. A 1954 Triumph. Oh, you like that one, don't you? Nice badge on it. All these makes from the dim and distant past. Rally. I've seen a Rudge already. Oh, BSA. A Warewell from 1925. Still haven't seen any CWSs, which is Harley's chosen mark at the moment. Oh, great to see. This takes me back. I used to have one of these. I rescued one of those as a wreck in the early 80s and put it back together and ran it as my bike for quite a while. Yeah. Nice assortment here today at Malpas. Oh, look at this wonderful little garden tractor here. What make is that? It's the Uni Horse Tractors Limited offering. Well, that is quite a little cracker, that is. I would happily potter around the garden on that. Isn't that just incredible? I love the look of that. Yeah, the Uni Horse. What a great looking little thing that is. Yes. Yeah, you won't want to go far on it. Of course, we've got a bit of lawnmower action over here, and we've been talking about lawnmowers lately on the channel. In particular, push lawnmowers, just like this one here, the British JP Engineering Maxis lawnmower. Wow. What's this? The Greens Zephyr. Nice castings on that. Got a qual cast there. What's this? The Shanks Arbroath Talisman. I promise we will get to the cars, road vehicles, etc. in a moment, but I just find myself being distracted by these old mowers and similar exciting things. And there's that lovely little garden tractor. It's just a little sweetie, that one. And here we've got a Howard Bollens, the B&B tractor. Those are nice. I do like that. I like the way you sit on the back and that gives the weight onto the roll, puts the weight onto the roller for a perfect finish. Yeah, what a great looking thing. And a wheel horse over here. But we have found some CWS's ex-GPO postman's bikes, no less. Fantastic AEC over there. Being hotly pursued by a Ford Thames Trader. I think we saw this one recently at Onslow Park. Many years ago we brought Big Dodge here. That was quite an exciting trip. Okay. Now it's the classic motorcycles, their first outing.
Especially old nice black tankers. Love the pre-war era motorcycles, lots of 20s to sort of 60s. Look at that for a sidecar. Ramblers, scooters, roadsters, they're all here. I remember that sidecar from the Onslow Park adventure. Steve ran that, is fantastic. Psycho bastard.
Well, now that the motorcycles are in the arena, that means all the lorries and other commercial vehicles will be back in situ. So it's probably time to come and have a look. And this row is headed up by a magnificent red and black Bedford, no less. What a cracker that is. Done up as a recovery vehicle. Let's go and have a quick shufty at the crane arrangements at the back. Is it a Harvey Frost or something similar? It could well be. Quite a heavy setup on the back of this. I love the plate there. Stick that on the back of whatever you are towing. Yeah, what a chunky little fella that is. Really short wheelbase.
What was it used for?
It hasn't got a factory cab on it, so the front end, this and the wings and everything are original Bedford. The bonnets, well, certainly the side panels look like they may have been remade, and the cab looks like it may be a one-off as well. So it could well be that this lorry started off in life as something else and was bodied up as a recovery vehicle after a few years. But yeah, what a great little thing that is. We've got a mixture of slightly later lorries here. We've got a Sedan Atkinson, about 1987. But as always here on the Old Classic Car channel, we will prioritise the slightly older vehicles because that's what I like. And here we have another Thames Trader, Ford Thames Trader, this one from 65 with living accommodation on the back. And next to that, a magnificent Albion, the Scottish-built Albion. Lovely, again with living accommodation discreetly installed on the rear chassis there. This one in the livery of BRS, British Road Services, which was an organisation set up after the Second World War when road haulage here in the UK was nationalised. This one has an RHA, Road Haulage Association badge on the front. What a lovely badge that is. There we go, Albion Chieftain. So that's a very bonny machine indeed. Got so much character, these old lorries. You could have a row of 10 Albion Chieftains and everyone would probably look really different to the others. And look at this fantastic Foden. And yeah, Foden we know is from Sandbach, but I think I will consult a little reference book just to find out a little bit more. I have with me my ABC of commercial vehicles. This is actually a later reprint, but we'll gloss over that. Originally priced at 2 shillings. Got a number of Fodens in here, so if we wanted to find out a little bit more about some of the Fodens that appear at these kind of events, then this is the book for you. Yeah, there we go, Fodens Limited of Sandbach. Various models, various engines. This one is Gardner powered, as so many of them are, the Gardner 150. What a great looking machine, I do love that. Next to that we have a Bedford TK. This one, well, it's got a removals body, a Luton type body that extends over the top of the cab. Usually they're a lot taller than this, so this is actually maybe designed for areas that have a lot of bridges perhaps, who knows. This is a reasonably early one. It's got the earlier Bedford badging and the lettering across the front, but the very early ones, the early TKs, they have like sort of little whiskers set into the moulded front panel here. We've got a date, this one's an H, so about 1970. Got an Austin here, the Austin FE Series 3 from 1959. I like the way it's got these extra little windows set in down here just to aid manoeuvring in tight spaces. Reminds me a little bit of the Leyland FG, which had curvy little windows just in that position as well. We'll carry on along here. We've got a 1985 Scania and another Ford Thames Trader, but this one has the much curvier front end. This is the Cologne or the Köln cab, a German cab on this particular one, and actually it's quite a good looking truck, I think that is. This one on the B reg, so that dates this one to 1964. Yeah, very smart. We saw that one at Onslow Park. And here an Atkinson. Now you don't see too many of these around at the classic lorry gatherings that we tend to get to. You see a few Sedan Atkinsons, but not so many of the earlier Atkis, so it's a real treat to see this one here today. I'm guessing, what, 1940s, early 50s, early to mid 50s perhaps.
Doesn't look very comfortable to
There's
drive.
a pretty hefty looking starting handle on that. I don't think I'd want to be swinging that over on a cold morning. So we've got a tax disc in the window. 1954, that disc. Looks like an original as opposed to a repro. Very nice.
Right, Richard.
You can see proper coach built cabs on these, wooden frames. You can see, yeah, you can see evidence of wood in the doors here. So yeah, quite a rare machine.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, Richard.
Very, very nice. ERF alongside Edwin Richard Foden, also of Sandbach, one of the Foden family, who set up on their own. I think at the time Foden wanted to stick with steam-powered vehicles. Edwin thought that the future was diesel power, so he went off and set up his own lorry business, again in Sandbach, just down the road from Foden's, and went with diesel. And of course, as history now tells us, diesel was the future. Okay, we have another Thames Trader here, and on the end of the row, here's one that we have featured on the channel before, a glorious little Austin, a Plaxton bodied Austin coach. What a great little vehicle that is. Quite a short wheelbase, big wheels, short wheelbase. It almost looks like a little dinky toy blown up, but isn't that just wonderful? What a great looking little vehicle that is. Such character, these small coaches, and I know there are going to be a number of classic coaches here today, so we're going to be in for a few treats on that particular front, I think, but what a great looking thing. Yeah, as I suspected, this is based on the Austin K8 chassis bodied by Plaxton in 1952, and this beauty was at the 1952 Commercial Vehicle Motor Show. We've been invited to go inside and have a peer around. And wow, look at the driver's compartment of this lovely old Austin. Isn't that just fantastic? I love all the trimmings. Look at all that. What a belter. And you can see the Austin logo proudly there on the instrumentation. Yeah. What a characterful old girl this is. 1952, same year as Harley's recently acquired CWS bicycle. Apparently this was the first body that Plaxton did, first coach body with a lift-up sunroof. Wow. Not great. I'm always blown away by the interiors on these old coaches. the efforts that people go into to get the right style of trim, to retrim all these seats. You think it's expensive retrimming a car with 4 seats. Try retrimming one of these, especially some of the bigger ones. Look at those great tinted curved perspex roof lights over there. Isn't it just great? These remind me very much of like some of the old railway carriages. Put your bags up there and go out for a wonderful day out in this fantastic coach. There you go. This coach was an exhibit at the 52 Earl's Court Commercial Motor Show. What a treat to see that. And also in the same ownership as that wonderful K8 coach, we have this Morris Commercial LC5. Oh, look at this Hotchkiss, this bonneted French, I think, Hotchkiss. And this one is for sale, £4,500. What can you buy for £4,500? Certainly not much in the car world. Left-hand drive. Oh, what a distinctive looking vehicle. It doesn't look in bad condition at all. I love the lock in there. So we've got a diesel engine. All looks pretty together. We can have a quick peer in. The window's open. We like a bit of that. Simple dash. Interesting vehicle, not too big, it would fit on most driveways. Is that the fuel tank or was it a spare? I think it's just a spare, I don't think it's plumbed in. Yeah, interesting, relatively affordable way into classic lorry ownership, I would have thought there. Those look like VW Beetle indicators, I think. At least it's keeping it all European. Hotchkiss of Paris, there we go. If you've seen the video I recently published touring around northern France, you'll remember we saw in the Station 70 Car Museum a lovely wall sign for Hotchkiss. And that logo is made up from a pair of cannons because that's what they originally used to produce. But yeah, £4,500. That looks like a good, yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. And here, there's that LC5 over from Wrexham direction. We've got a 70s bicycle in the back. Looks like a bit, is it a rally or it's a rally? Is that the old rally shopper? Rings a bell, could be. Who remembers watching Heartbeat years ago and Greengrass driving one of these? The old Morris Commercial LC series. And staying with Morris, we have the Morris Z van. So this was a contemporary of the Morris 8 saloons and the Series E's, etc. This one, an ex-post office telephones example. A few differences on these compared to your regular civilian Morris Z vans. Some of them had rubber wings. These catches are different, I believe, on the GPO. The regular civilian ones, they just had budget locks that you put like a little T-handle in and twist to release the bonnet lock. The door handles are different on these post office GPO vans as well. These have the carriage style door handles. The irregular civilian vans had just regular handles. There we go, 1946 GPO engineer's van used in the 40s and 50s, complete with some of the equipment that would have been carried in that era. This one was used in the Hastings area, so down on the south coast. Got the original ladder assembly on there. Do these also have grills in the back window? Yes, grills in the back window. Probably lots of racking in the back, I would have thought. Like I say, some of these had rubber wings on them, like the old Pyrene fire extinguisher. Now these are usually dated. It's a GPO one as well. That's a nice little detail. I wonder if we can see a date on there. There will be one somewhere, but I can't quite see it. But yeah, great little van. And over here, the Bedford CF, this one from the early 1970s. Looks like a Mark 1. 1974 it says. There we go. What a great mid-sized commercial there as well. Very practical, very handy that would be. Now here we have an old Bedford ambulance. This has been in the area and going to shows around here for years. I remember this used to live just up the road from where I used to work in Knutsford, going way back. There used to be a little garage and this was parked outside, and we'd go past it every day on the way to and from back home from work. It was always a treat to see this. The owner then had quite a few older vehicles. I'm guessing it's probably changed hands since then. Quite a rare vehicle as well, bodied up as an ambulance. Here we have an AEC Mercury with the ergomatic cab. That was a cab that was shared with a number of lorry manufacturers back in the day. Here we have a Morris, a very unusual library spec Austin van here. Quite an eye-catching design. Another Atkinson over here, big chunky fellow. Is that a borderer? And an AEC brewer's dray with living accommodation on the back, which is just perfect for an event like this. Park up and spend the weekend in relative luxury, away from the weather, and staying right with your vehicle, which is just perfect, isn't it? Yeah, in the livery of Birkenhead Brewery Company Limited. This is fantastic. This was built for the brewery in 1946. There's a bit of extra information. We always like an information sheet. There we go. Built on the Monarch chassis, registered 47. Yeah, bit of info there. If you want to pause the video, do it now. Okie dokie, right, next in this row of magnificent old lorries we have this fantastic looking Bedford, proper oily ragger. This one, we see this one at various events around the area. This is a K-type from 1951. What a neat little thing that is. Very unusual. Looks like it's been rebodied at least once. I wonder if the body originally came over the cab. That body's been removed and it's been replaced with this canvas affair. I know in some export markets, like in Australia, you could get sort of roadster utes, like pickup trucks with folding roofs. And I'm guessing this one's probably been through a number of different incarnations and picked up this unusual roof arrangement over the time. So there's probably a real story to that one. So it's a very characterful old lorry. I do like that. Very nice too. Here we have a Ford D series, which, unlike the TK, even though they look very, very similar, these had the tilting cab. That was their big sales thing at the time. The salesman would make a big deal of that, offering much improved engine access, I imagine, compared to a TK. On the TK, you've got like access panels, so obviously you can get to the engine from inside the cabin. There are like access panels in the corners here, so you can get at the engines on the TKs, but I imagine having a lift forward or tilt forward cab makes life a whole lot easier. This is diesel powered, dates to 1967. Volvo here, turbocharged Volvo. Leyland, oh, very nice too. We see this one, I think on the Cheshire Run we've seen this one on probably several occasions. And look at this glorious pre-war Morris commercial over here with drop side wooden body on it. Isn't that great? What a chunky little fella that is. There's the old 20 miles an hour plate on the back. I can hear just over there is the wall of death. Oh, isn't this just beautiful? The old Morris commercial. AEC with the ergomatic cab again. AEC coach. Ooh, Willowbrook coachwork, judging by the badge on the front there. So it's this late 60s, about 1968, that one. ERF, slightly earlier ERF alongside it. There's going to be a good turnout of ERFs and Fodens at these events because we're not a million miles away from Sandbach. Oh, wow. Isn't that lovely? That, oof, I'd very happily drive that home. What a great little vehicle, not too big. Percy Throwers Garden Centre of Shrewsbury, Murrells of Shrewsbury. I've seen the signs for that place, driving around Shrewsbury on the A5. I do like that. What a characterful machine this is. I do. Apologies if I keep saying it, but I do love these old lorries, commercial vehicles, vans. They're just such characterful old things. The gear wine Oftentimes nice big 6-cylinder engine. That's one of the things I like about our old Dodge pickup. You know, you just grind your way through the gears, lovely soundtrack that just takes you back in time. It's a fantastic ERF here as well. And on the end here, look at this, all the way from the 1920s, a fantastic Austin 7 van. Isn't that a Bobby Dazzler, that one? Complete with the headlights on the scuttle, just like the early Chummies. And I think we'll just have a quick look round the back. Wow. What a great display. It's making me feel hungry. I almost missed this grey Fergie on the back of the ERF. Looks very original. One of my favourite coaches of all time are these, the Bedford OB with the duple coachwork. Just the style, it just looks superb, don't they? The attention to detail and the effort that went into making that look as best as it probably could. Complete with the Bedford Drivers Club badge on the front as well. Yeah, just such a stylish thing. Where we used to go on holiday sometimes in South Wales at the beginning of the 1980s. There were two of these outside an old disused bus garage in the village that we used to stay at, owned by Richards of Cardigan. And I've got a feeling at least one of those OBs did go on to be restored. I've seen a restored one of these around in the livery of Richards of Cardigan. So hopefully at least one of those two that I saw 40 odd years ago did go on to be preserved. But yeah, isn't that just wonderful? And you've got these directional indicators set into the rear panel here. So you've got the little arrows that illuminate when you flick on your indicators.
£4 for a 15-minute action-packed show. Come and join us.
Yeah, that is really, really tasty. And again, wonderful interiors. I don't think we can get in this one, but we'll have a quick peer in through the window at least. Let's carry on mooching along this row. I have a Gardner 120 powered ERF here from about 71. Another Ford Thames Trader. Wow, this I think is part of a local collection of old country buses and coaches, and we see several of this collection appear at events throughout the year. This is a Leyland Cub, I'm guessing early to mid 1930s, in the livery of Pritchards of Llangefni, which is in Wales I believe. Isn't that beautiful coach built? The door is open but we won't go clambering in. Isn't that just great? Again, look at that driver's seat, if that could talk. I wonder what leaflets were in there, perhaps leaflets for future tours, that kind of thing. The interior actually looks so original, so many have had to be retrimmed over the years, but this one, the trim looks as if it could be the original. There's a lovely smell of old leather in here. Just we're so lucky that people have got the room and the resources to preserve these incredible old coaches and buses, because the size of them alone makes them pretty difficult to take on unless you've got a lot of space. Of course, if you want to restore one of these, you need at least 3 times the space just to lay everything out. So, yeah, you can't underestimate, or overestimate rather, just how much work goes in to keeping these things going. The bigger it is, the bigger the job it is to keep them working. Especially when parts aren't exactly available off the shelf either for many of these vehicles. I assume being Leyland it may share some of its running gear with contemporary Leyland lorries, but even so, they're probably not 10 a penny now either. This one, no, 1936, there we go. Next up we have a Thames, the Ford Thames lorry. They did diesel or petrol versions of these. I'm not quite sure from here which one this is. Is there anything on the front to say? It could be an ET6 or a 4D depending on the engine. ET6, so that's the petrol. There we go, the Cost Cutter 4-cylinder petrol engine, 3.6 litre, 3-ton rated, registered March of 1954. There we go. Very similar in styling to the Q Dodges, also of the late 40s and the early 1950s. They look very, very similar. And indeed the Leyland Comet. This is most definitely the Ford Thames. Just like all these lorries, I bet they could tell a few stories. It's a little bit overcast today, but there's no rain promised, unlike tomorrow. So we thought we'll come today and have a scoot round. This is a 2-day event, the Malpas Yesteryear Rally. This is an event we've been coming to on and off for quite a few years. We've brought cars here, like I say, we brought Big Dodge just a few years ago. I always forget to book in, so we always end up, or usually end up, parking up in the public car park, just like we did today in the standard. Maybe one day we'll be a bit more organised and actually book something in. Here's Gentleman Jim with the ERF. Here we have a cheese grater grill Morris. This one's been converted into a pickup, but I remember seeing this one many, many years ago. It started out life as a van. It's got a saloon bonnet on it. The commercial vehicles, the vans and the pickups, didn't have the extra strip down the side there. The vans and the pickups also had a separate chassis, unlike the saloons and the traveller estates, which were, well, they didn't have a separate chassis. Next up we have an Austin LD. You could either buy Austin or Morris versions of these. This is one that we've seen several times over the years. Interesting wooden body on the back of this one. It's a guy in the livery of London Transport. Again, beautifully turned out. Next to that we have a Bedford S series. Drop side body on that one. A Ford D series again. This is quite a short wheelbase one. Silver Ridge Caravans. Caravan Delivery Service. ERF. Let me know in the comments if you've ever driven any of these vehicles. And here we have the Thames 300E van. This is the 700 weight version. There was also a 500 weight. I was actually having a read of my ABC book of commercial vehicles only this morning, because I've seen one or two of these with the Prefect shiny grille on it, and I always assumed that someone had just replaced the grille on them at some point, but apparently the 700 weight and slightly heavier duty 300E vans came as standard with the Prefect grille on it. So you live and learn, and here is an example of just such a vehicle. 300E Thames, bit of info in the window. These were built 1954 to 1961. It's got the 100E engine, the 1172cc side valve unit, max power 36 brake horsepower at 4,500 RPM, max speed 70 miles an hour. Yeah. It's a very straight example, that is. And yeah, I'm quite pleased to see that, because yeah, I never knew that. And here we have an ex-military, ex-wartime Morris commercial, very chunky little fellow, this one, with the very angular front end panels that are a characteristic of so many wartime World War II vehicles. I guess the priority was just to churn these things out, and they'd be nice and easy to repair out in the field as well. So not much in the way of complex curves on these. What do we have here? Twin steer. Is this a Bedford VAL, a Bedford Val? Very similar to the coach in the original Italian Job film with Michael Caine. Who remembers that? 3 minutes in the back and launching him down the side of a mountainside once the gold was in the back. And that vehicle is also a twin steer Bedford VAL or Val. I'm assuming that's what this is. Yeah, 1973. So this one's a little bit later, because the Italian Job film was in the late 60s, about 67 or 1968. But there are very few of these around now. We appear to have found Land Rover Corner. We'll have a quick scoot around here. We've got a Cheshire Fire Brigade, Nantwich Division, forward control Land Rover here. I don't know what the story is with this. It's handy that so many of these vehicles have got a bit of information in the window. 1975, in service at Nantwich Fire Station. So that's not come far from where it used to be operated. We're just about, what, 15 miles, 10-15 miles from Nantwich where we are today. Series 2A from 1967, slightly modified roof. Well, it looks like it's got the roof off a shorter wheelbase Landy, fitted to this 109 chassis. Has it got, did wonder if maybe it had like a little crane or something in the back, but it doesn't. No. Oh, handy vehicle nevertheless. There's no shortage of Land Rovers at events like this. Series 3s here. Series 2, well, it's on a 67, but it's got the flat panel of a Series 2 and the wings are off a Series 3. Land Rovers are like large Meccano kits, so it's not unusual. Same with this one here. This is a Series 2A, but it's got the later Series 3 wings on it. So you've got the original headlights in the middle there, and you've got the Series 3 ones, which by this point in time had moved out to the main wing area. So lots of illumination on the front of that one. Yeah, swapping bits, mixing and matching has always been a bit of a Land Rover thing. We will just amble down this road, try and feature as many of the older vehicles as we possibly can. Well, at the back of this guy, notice this again, the lovely directional flashing turn signal there, very nice. And here, a little Reliant three-wheeler. It looks like it's pre-war, but actually this could be early 1950s. So yeah, amazing little vehicle. Oh, it's 1947 this one. Bought as a wreck, 748cc side valve, 4-cylinder engine, cruising speed 35 to 40. Handling and braking are described as interesting. And I can well imagine. I imagine putting a load in the back there alters the handling of this machine markedly. Not always for the better, I imagine. Right, and here we have the lovely little Morris J-Type. Ah, that's beauty. Is it a J-Type with a side valve engine, or it could be the JB with the overhead valve engine? The side valve J-Types shared the engine with the Morris Oxford MO. It is a JB, this one, the B-series engine with 4-speed transmission, so that must make it really quite usable. What a lovely little vehicle. Ooh, what's this for sale? Just about to see in the window a Comma Gamecock with a 2-stroke TS3 engine in a double cab. Nice. Of the Land Rover here, this one looks fairly original. This is a Series 2 with the original wings on this one, and again the flat slanty panel on the front here, which is the difference between the Series 2 and the Series 2A. The 2A has a slightly curved panel, but otherwise to look at is pretty much identical, I think. This one looks super original as well. Just a bit of an oiler ragger, just how we like to see them. You can certainly hear the wall of death just next to us. Plenty going on in there. We did have a look at that last time we came here a couple of years ago. Pretty scary stuff. Super little Mini 95 pickup here as well. Immaculate restored condition. Clearly it wasn't always like this. We have a miniature version of an Atkinson border here. This model was brought as a project. Oh, groovy as that, with an articulated trailer on the back. Very handy for moving things around the garden and also making your way around bigger events like this. Yeah. What a great little thing. This incredible AEC Matador has been converted into a breakdown wagon. What a fantastic vehicle. Towers over me, huge, clearly designed with towing some pretty hefty gear. This one has got the Harvey Frost thingy on the back, the crane on the back. God, I wouldn't want to lift that up there. These wheels and tyres on the big lorries are exceptionally heavy. With a rebodied AEC Matador here, this one with a cab set well back and quite a long bonnet on it. Most Matadors you see are flat fronted, ex-military wartime vehicles, but after the war lots of them were rebodied and significantly modified for different roles post-war, quite often used in the timber business. And here we have a Foden cement vehicle, Blue Circle cement. I don't think it's a cement mixer, it's purely for the distribution of cement, with the Mickey Mouse cab and an S21 alongside. In fact, the more I think about it, this one in the livery of British Railways was here at the Anything Goes evening meet just a few months ago. Okay, here we have a Commer, the Root diesel powered Commer, flatbed body on it, makes it very handy for carrying tractors and smaller vehicles on. This one from Corwin in North Wales. Then we have a Leyland Comet, the bonneted Leyland Comet. Got a feeling this special bodied truck was something to do with the mines. Can't see any information on it, but raking the darker depths of my memory, I've got a feeling it's something to do with mines. Right. A Series 1 Land Rover over here, the 88-inch wheelbase. Was it 86? I think it's 86 on those, isn't it? And here, the Scammell Scarab, a three-wheel mechanical horse. These were popular with British Rail as well. Interesting. This one's a 1965. Later they did a fiberglass cabbed one of these called the Townsman, I believe. And before this they had a much more angular cab and they were literally badged up as mechanical horses. I think this cab is actually based on that of the O Series Bedford, if I remember correctly. The Bedford drop sides and the trucks that we've seen examples of already. I've got a feeling that's where that cab came from. Scammell used it for their own purposes here to create these incredible little three-wheelers. Let's carry on along here. Got a lot of steam vehicles in the arena at the moment. A huge collection of old lorry badges here. That is quite the collection. We'll carry on here. We've got a Leyland Clydesdale of the 1970s. And here we do have one of those flat-fronted ex-World War II AEC Matadors. This is how you tend to think of AEC Matadors when the name comes up. This is what they look like. Quite an agricultural cab, coach built, wooden framed. All fairly simple, built just to do a job with little in the way of driver comfort. No power steering on these. Yeah. Great, very, very characterful old vehicles they are. And here we have another dual-bodied Bedford OB. This one in the livery of Meredith's of Malpas, so this hasn't come far at all, given that we are in Malpas. Quite a hefty chunk of Volvo. But my eye is drawn to this Thames Trader instead. A beautiful example of the Ford Thames Trader. We've seen several of these already here today. This is a fairly short wheelbase tipper in magnificent condition. Look at the paintwork and the sign writing on there. Proper sign writing, no vinyl cut lettering here. Just proper sign writing. This is an incredible restored condition. So even though it's quite a chunky chap itself, it's dwarfed by this Volvo alongside it. That is a serious bit of kit from the same organisation, I believe, as is this little van over here. But we'll carry on down the road looking out for all the older things. The cars, don't worry, there are cars there over there. I know we haven't featured much in the way of cars apart from that Ford Corsair, the Crayford convertible version, but we will get to them shortly. Here, great old Foden diesel here. Proper bit of kit that, and then we've got a milk float alongside that. Last time I saw this, it was driving along the A5. And here we have one of the FGs that I mentioned before. It's Some of these were badged up as Austin, some were Morris. Later they were just badged, I think, as Austin Morris, or possibly even Leyland. This one from late 67 or early 1968 with the very distinctive curved glass in the corners of the cab there. 1968 petrol. This particular one, notable, the Threepenny bit cab as they called it, because the door is built into the, it's a funny shaped cab if you looked at it from the top. If I had a drone, we could do that. Yeah. Quite a narrow door, so you'd want to be fairly agile if you're clambering in and out of here on a regular basis, as I've said before in previous videos. But if you're new here, I remember well in the late 70s there was one of these abandoned on a piece of land not a million miles away from where I grew up. I regularly used to go and play in it and imagine myself as a lorry driver back in the 1950s and the 1960s. Maybe that's the reason I am like I am now. Could well be. Yeah, got a soft spot for those. Right, got a Foden here. ERF. And an ERF. Again, with a variety of living accommodation arrangements on the back of these wonderful old vehicles. Harley's talking Rileys. So we will go over here and bump into him a little bit later on. This row is headed up by a Vauxhall Viva HA with immaculate HA finished in grey. This looks like one of the fairly base spec models. Apologies for the string, but it is kind of in the way. But there we go. An HA, oh, it is a deluxe. 1057cc engine, 14,500 miles from new. What a survivor car that is. Lovely. And we've got a Series 2 Morris Minor alongside that, a split window. And it was a Series 2 that introduced the A-Series engine to the Morris Minor range in about 53 or 54. A TR7 fixed head coupe on an S registration, originally built in Speke, Liverpool. Later ones were built at Canley, the main Triumph factory. And then we've got the Austin A30 here. All 803cc of it, same size engine as our standard 8 that got us here today. The Wolseley 1500, a two-tone Wolseley 1500. Most of them do seem to be two-tone, although you do see all over black ones occasionally. Yeah, the A30 looks pretty groovy on those Ross style wheels. I think those are off a midget, certainly look like it. Very tunable cars these are. If you owned one of these back in the day, you could phone up Speedwell and buy all manner of tuning parts for these, or alternatively you could just go down to your local scrapyard and go and buy a bigger engine, maybe a 1275 out of a midget, or a set of twin carbs off a Frog Eye Sprite. These could be made to go very well, as racing in recent years at the Goodwood Revival has demonstrated. If you've got big pockets and the technical knowledge, you can make these really fly. These had hydromechanical brakes, so they were hydraulic brakes to the front, and then you had what they call a frame cylinder under the floor, which operated rods to the mechanical rear brake linkage. So it's a bit of a hodgepodge really, and that was carried over to the A40 Mark I that replaced the A35 in 1958. Okay, we'll carry on along here. We have a Rover 110, the very original looking one from 1964. This has got a 6-cylinder engine, and like all the P4s, it's got the suicide or rear hinged back doors to aid entry and exit from the very comfortable interior in those cars. Triumph Roadster here, Bergerac spec Triumph Roadster. This was a contemporary, I suppose, of the Triumph 2000, the Renown, quite possibly also the smaller Mayflower. Malpas here on the K-plate, 1971. Opel over here. Is that the A-Series Manta, I think? The Rover 3-litre Saloon, that's a handsome looking car. This has got this 6-cylinder Rover 3-litre engine before they shoehorned the Buick derived V8 engine to create the P5B. This is the car that came before. Slightly different grille on these. The P5B had big fog lamps set under the headlights, set into the front panel. Here another A30, this time a 4-door A30 in a vivid shade of blue. Very nice too. That's the AS4 series, I think. Got a Ford Mustang alongside that. The Austin A60 Cambridge. That's a nice one, 1622cc. Some nice badges on the front of there, AA and RAC, so hedging your bets in case of breakdown. A lovely little MG YT Tourer. We see YA and YB saloons, but not so many of these YT Tourers. That's very nice. That's got the larger wheels, I think, of the YB saloon, so it's probably a contemporary of the second era of saloon. Got a Mark III Mini here, the first of the Minis to have the wind-up windows and the hidden door hinges. That one looks like it's on different wheels, not quite sure what wheels they are. They're not the Frog Eye wheels. We've got a Spitty here, the little Triumph Spitfire, showing off the excellent engine accessibility on these very practical, easy to work on classics, twin carbs. Not sure if this is a 30, it's a 1500, this one. And here we have the Rover P5B, so this is the V8 powered version of the P5 series. This was the replacement for the Rover 3 litre that we were looking at just a moment ago. Beautiful car, that. Got a Mark II version of the Triumph Stag on the alloy wheels, they were standard fit on these. Got a Triumph 1500, very, very similar looking to the Dolomite. Very original looking paint on this one. It's up for sale. Is that 5,250 or 3,250? Not quite sure. Looks pretty original. MGB GT, a rubber bumper car. Mark 1 Ford Fiesta, the S, I think. And we've got a square back VW Type 3, the estate version of the rear engined car. 66 Jaguar E-Type, fixed head, Series 1. Ford Consul Mark II. Very nice. What a great looking car. That is very, I always think they look so similar to the Ford Thunderbird at the front. Quite the array of enamel badges on the front. We've got the BARC, the British Automobile Racing Club badge. IAM, the Institute of Advanced Motorists, the Royal Automobile Club. And the Butlins Car Club. What a beauty that is. That's a Highline from 1957. Back to open top cars, and this is a lovely just post-war Sunbeam Talbot. This one pops up at several of the shows that we get to throughout the year, including, I'm thinking, the Weaver Wonder. That's always a fun event, watching the cars setting off and taking part on the Weaver Wonder. It's got a Napwich and District Motor Club badge on the front of this one. Sunbeam Talbot Alpine Register. AA, of course. So this one was registered, yeah, July 1946, based on the cars of the late 1930s. But yeah, what a beauty that is. And I was wondering if we'd see any standards here. I was discussing this with my youthful assistant on the way over, and I said, I bet we see that Phase 1 standard Vanguard here. Lo, here it is, the Phase 1 Vanguard of the late 1940s, Shropshire registered. And yeah, this one hasn't come far either today. What year is this one? It says 1951.
It's all smooth, you could imagine a machine tool being put in the profile.
The Renault 8 Gordini. Bit of steam action going on over there, they're just exiting the arena now. Okay, next row, a couple more Land Rovers there, another Spitfire, and another Triumph 1500, the four-door Triumph 1500 with a very similar engine to that fitted in the very last Spitfires, and indeed the rubber bumper midgets here. The Morris Minor, about 1971, so it's a fairly late example of the Morris Traveller with its wooden, the structural wooden rear body. Ah, that's interesting. I didn't know we'd see one of these here today. I mentioned when we were looking at the Bergerac style Triumph, this is the Triumph Renown Saloon. Very handsome car, the razor edge styling. I always think it worked just a little bit better on the larger Renown when compared to the slightly smaller Triumph Mayflower. That's a beautiful example, incredible restored condition. The paint finish on that and the chrome. Oh, just incredible condition, such a rare car. I can hear some steamrollers coming past. Let's just climb under the rope here and just have a quick peer in through this open window. It'd be rude not to have a look. Some old maps and AA books in the door pocket over there, we like that kind of thing. A wooden dash there. Yeah. Got a steamroller just clanking its way by. Occasionally we get these coming past the house and you can hear them about a mile away. So it gives you time to have a leisurely walk up and go and watch them drive past. But where were we? Oh yes. Well, there you go, there's a comparison. There is the smaller Mayflower and the larger Renown. Likely a picnic setup on the back seat there. We've got a little plastic fold out tray that goes over the armrest. I've never seen one of those before. I have got some of the trays that sort of clip on here on the open window, and the tray sort of pokes in there and you can put your cup of Darjeeling on that. I've never seen one of those that clips over the armrest like that. That's very neat. Oh, what incredible condition that is. There's a Sentinel steam lorry. Oh, what a little beauty this is. It's always a treat to see this Ford Model Y of the early 1930s. Such an original looking car, this one. Proper oily ragger job. Original paints. Quite speckly, but looks pretty original. Well, certainly very, very old. I think originally it would have had a little pinstripe along it, so it may have had an older repaint, but we're going back into ancient history if it has been repainted at some time. But yeah, it's such an original car, just preserved as found pretty much. I'm assuming all the mechanical stuff has been done and everything else is just being looked after as it is. This is actually quite rare. This is a short rad car, so that's probably 32 or 1933. You can tell the short rad cars because they have a straight front bumper. The later cars, the long rads, they actually had to put a dip in the middle of the bumper so that you could get the starting handle in through the starter handle hole at the front of the car. But this is a two-door, the Tudor, as Ford tended to call two-door cars. There was a four-door version as well. You could also get a van, in some markets even an open-top version. So this has the little 8 horsepower Ford side valve engine, all 933cc of it, same size engine as that was fitted to our Anglia, which was about 1952, I think, the Anglia. So shared the engine with this, the Model Y. And it was the Model Y that this particular engine made its debut in. This one's got the sort of the 50s style Mickey Mouse flashing indicators fitted to it to replace the old semaphore indicators. Not that this one has ever had semaphore indicators by the look of it. What's the tax disc in the window? 1933. Yeah, it's a real bonny little car, this one. Harley likes this one. I think he'd quite happily have this as his first
all the cars
old car. Is that your favourite of the lot, is it? Well,
The year before.
it's certainly rare. The short rad car, you see.
Yes, yeah.
It's particularly rare. Right, okay, let's carry on along here. We've got the Austin Healey Sprite Mark 1, the Mini Studio 2, one of many limited editions that Rover Group did of the Mini in the final years of classic Mini production. Another Mark 3 Mini here from the Leyland era, the Ford Sierra XR4i. This was the hot Sierra before the Cosworth came along. That one's about 1983. Early 70s Mark 1 Escort van, particularly eye-catching. I like the paint job. Mark 2 Cortina 2-door. RS 2000 with the bubble arches. That is very nice. It has got a later engine, but it looks cool. The RS, yeah, very nice. I'd quite happily have the original engine in it though. Lots of these have been retrofitted with much later engines. Yes, a big Garrett turbo hung off the side there. I imagine that goes really rather well. What's he looking at?
Just because like cam belts are usually, first of all, they're usually behind something,
Yeah,
aren't they? But
yeah,
like,
it's all
there's
nice
another
and
one.
easy.
What does that drive? Is that, like
That just drives the
petrol or
alternator.
something? Oh, right.
So that's the alternator belt down there.
Yeah.
I've got a spider hanging off my hat. Yes, I've got a spider. Yeah. Probably can't quite see that. Yeah, famous spider. but it's not focusing on that. You can live on an Escort. Right, Austin 1300 GT with Lucas lamps on the front. What a beauty. Twin carburetors, so this was effectively a Cooper S Mini, but for people who needed a little bit more space. Again, front wheel drive, transverse A series engine, 1275, so it's just like a Mini on steroids really, but super rare car, that one. MGC here, the MGC Roadster. Immaculate car, this one as well. Both of them immaculate, in fact. Look at that. Very, very nice. 1968, this one, tartan red. Let's just go around here. MG, so it's a TA, isn't it? It's a bit, yeah, slightly narrower body than the post-war TC. Was it 1930? Oh yeah, 1937, you're right. Registered anyway, built 36. 3 strips on the running boards on the earlier TAs. The wider TC, they just had 2 strips on the running board. Otherwise, they're quite hard to tell apart, to be honest. This MGB we've seen here before. One time a rubber bumper car. We've got an MGTF here in a lovely bright shade of yellow. MG Midget down here, FAB. Roadster B here. It's quite a small one, isn't it?
Looks like it's snapped.
It's a very unusual angle of boiler on that one, isn't it?
Did you see the little diesel one?
No, I haven't yet, no.
Yeah, they're just in the arena.
An MGTD here. Morris 1000.
Works one, black one.
What's this, a Rickman? Oh, a Dutton. This is the Dutton. Fiberglass bodied kit car. Usually Ford mechanicals on those. Notchback Mustang here from 68, I think. Oh, now this lovely Willis Jeep. This is just a lovely original one. This is a post-war, it's not a military Jeep. This is one of the post-war CJs, but it is so original. I did have a lengthy look at this one. See, there's 1946 on the number plate there. Had quite a lengthy chat with the owner of this one, I think 2 years ago. Let's just nip under here and just have another admiration of the super original paint.
They're racing traction engines over.
Oh, they're having a traction engine race, are they? Yeah. This is just so original. I just love the wear around the edges and everything. It's just perfect. Original American baseball bat and glove. So this is just how I like vehicles like this. Any extras that are on it are all in period. Look at these fantastic directional. These could be signal stat possibly. Put a set similar to that on Big Dodge when that was being restored all those years ago. It's got a proper, there we go, signal stat indicator switch on it. So yeah, anything that's been added, it's all proper. And these, the main difference between these and the military ones is these have a rear tailgate on them. The military vehicles, the military Jeeps, the Willis Jeeps, didn't have a drop-down tailgate. They just had the spare wheel on here, and maybe also a fuel can or something like that. But yeah, these civilian ones have a little drop side tailgate on the back. Yeah, it's just in perfect condition for a Jeep, in my opinion. You don't get any better than this. Next to the wonderful Jeep we have this. At first glance it looks like a Mark III Cortina, but I think it's the German-built Taunus. 1.5 this side, it says. Left-hand drive, 2-door. So what's it badged up on this side? On this side, it's also 1.5. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Does that mean it's 3 litre in total?
I don't know.
Oh, it's, yeah, it'll have a V6 in it, won't it? So it'll be a 3 litre V6. So
That's confusing.
I'm a bit confused, but I'm guessing that means 1500cc on this side of the V, 1500cc on the other side. Total 3 litre.
You can find that each cylinder
Figured it out now. Indeed. Yes. Impressive. Okay, we've got a Mark III Mini here, a particularly immaculate Mark III Mini. Shiny under the bonnet as it is up top. Little Wolseley here. So what's this? A Hornet? Yeah.
6.
Yeah, the Hornet. Yeah. So this is a 6-cylinder one. Yeah, we sometimes see a maroon and black, very original one of these pops up at some of the events we get to. This is a little bit shinier. 1935, is it? All right. Complete with opening sunroof.
And it says the new Hornet, is that a thing?
I don't know, but yeah, Hornet. On the end here, right, the RM 1.5 litre. Sorted bubble cars over here, pair of Hankels over here. Very vivid colour schemes, but I guess when you're driving something really small, you ought to be in something really bright just so that people actually see you. On the end of this road we have a Prefect E493A, 1172cc, same engine as the Sit Up and Beg Ford Pop 103E. This one about 1952 or 1953. There are two very different cars parked over here. Next to the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirits we have this splendid bull-nosed Morris Cowley of the 1920s, 1925 to be precise.
That's exactly how
Isn't that just wonderful? Yeah, that's definitely very mellowed, very, very usable. No rot.
That's in a can.
Yeah, just a bit of patina, not too shiny, not too polished up.
Yeah,
There is a temptation to go berserk polishing brass parts, but yeah, everything just looks nicely mellowed. Mellowed paint, the bright work, not too bright. No, that's just perfect, really. Slightly scratchy looking National Benzol tin, a 2-gallon can
That is all lovely.
on the running board there. I'm getting many urges to get back into something vintage. I'm not quite sure how we'll do that,
I
but
can't see you in a bullnose for some reason.
I could see myself
You're
in
more
this.
American big engine for free one.
Yeah, I do like bigger engines,
I feel
but
like you'd stick out the top of this, like judging by how the seats are. I mean,
so you're the same height as me now, so you'd.
most people probably would.
Yeah, lovely again, nickel plating, but not too shiny. That's nearly 100 years old. Yeah.
Yes.
Old leather strap there. Yeah. 3 stud wheel fixings on the Cowley. We've got the dicky seat or the mother-in-law seat out the back. And if we were in America, this would be called the rumble seat. My youthful assistant is asking a question. What's up?
USA, what's that?
I'm not sure what that is. Let's just try and get down here. Gabriel Schnubbers, something of Cleveland, Ohio.
It's nice, but I don't know what it is.
And it's attached to the. I don't know. It's attached to the front axle by a bit of webbing.
It's just bolted on.
There's a one over there as well, is there? No, that's I don't know. I'm not sure what they are. I don't know what they are. Answers on the postcard, please. Presumably it's not for... You don't take this off if you need pulling out of a ditch or something, because like one end of the webbing is attached to the front axle. I can't imagine that's what it's for, unless it's some sort of primitive damper, maybe, because of course there's no damping on these. You've got the leaf springs. Sometimes you see like really early cars with like Andre friction dampers on the front.
Yeah, I think I know.
And I'm thinking this is probably some sort of early American damping arrangement as fitted on this particular Morris. That's the only thing I can think of, but I've never seen that before. This one's got a speedo.
Yeah, that's the speedo.
That's the speedometer drive. The cog arrangement over there. And
So
there'll be a
if you-
mechanical linkage cable going up
If you
into the
locked
car.
up, would you be doing 0?
I'm not sure. And somewhere in here there'll be a little speedometer. There we go, a little Smith speedo just down there. Yeah, all very proper and correct, and just this kind of car that I love to see at this kind of event. Oh, the bonnet's up on the Morris Cowley, and there's that very dependable 4-cylinder side valve engine. So there are the plugs over there. We've got some Lodge CB3 spark plugs over there. Got a nice bit of linkage going on to the cooling fan there. Magneto ignition. There's a little carburettor. Fuel filler cap. And a gravity feed down into the carburettor. Just perfect. Quite a few military vehicles here as always. There's a Bedford QL just down there, the big one there. Land Rovers various of course. Wonderful Scammell here, the gun tractor. Got the AEC I think, again with a fairly hefty bit of kit hung off the back. I think now we are going to amble back in the general direction of the plucky little Standard 8 because in there are a number of sandwiches which will keep us going for this afternoon's activities. Let's just carry on down here because there is a super original looking, probably older restoration Dodge truck here, so of course we have to have a look at that because we are keen on our old Dodges here at OCC. Yeah, that's neat, isn't it? US Navy. I'm assuming it's been repainted at some time, but not for many, many years. Or is that the original paint? I suppose it could just be. If it got squirreled away following World War II, it may well have survived in its original paint. But yeah, great looking thing, as is this. We haven't quite made it back to the car as yet because I've been distracted by another lineup of classic military vehicles headed up by this Minerva, which was a Belgian licence-built version of the Land Rover. Here we've got the Bedford, the old green goddess, based on the RL. Nice ammo box for sale there for £10. Here the Austin K9 with radio body on the back. That's sort of the military version, I suppose, of the Austin Lodestar. Super old Ford lorry here. I'm guessing that's got the flathead Ford V8 engine in it. V8 badge there just on the front. A characterful old fellow that is. Little Austin here, the Austin Champ. And then here another Morris commercial, the LC series. We saw the LC5, the civilian version, over in the lorry display area. This is the MRA one from 1952 and based on the same vehicle but with probably very different running gear, I would imagine, but the cab and the metalwork are very, very similar to the civilian version. There we go, the little Standard raising the tone, raising the style of the car park here at Malpas. You want to feature sausage rolls? Well, but they're in here. You can't feature them in there, can you? Where are you going to unpack them?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take that as I can have too.
Yeah. Harley's been busy in the auto jumble area and just secured this 1 quart Castrol Hypoi Light 80 grade axle oil can. So what date's that? Probably about 1960ish, I would have thought. Still got the proper cap on it, so
I wouldn't usually buy the script, but
no, I know you like the earlier ones, but for a princely sum of £5, you're not really going to go too far wrong with that, I don't think. Certainly look good in there, the shed.
I haven't got that size either.
Have you not got that size?
I've got big and small.
Right. Yeah, very nice. Bonnets up on the old pre-war Wolseley Hornet. Let's have a quick peer under here. Yes, that's the inlet manifold. So you got the SU carburettor, use bicycle oil, and then it sort of, yeah. So we got the other manifold over there. So the inlet's this side. Yeah, maybe the exhaust manifold heats the inlet a bit. Maybe that's what's going on. Look at this, a Lister D stationary engine made into a motorcycle. I take it this isn't factory then?
No,
No? So what? Who built this then?
I did.
You built this, did
Built
you?
it myself, yeah.
So what was the inspiration for this? Did you just have the engine?
Yeah, I bought the engine from a farm sale. It was seized up. And I've owned stationary engines before, and I didn't want it powering water or pumping lights. And I had a 1960 BSA grass trap frame. So I cut the frame up, put it in the garage floor, and slowly welded it all back together. And I thought, why not have a Lister BSA
That is fantastic.
powered bike?
What's it like to ride?
It's very steady, very smooth.
I guess there's a lot of weight, very low down.
Yeah, and the flywheel acts as an auto gyro.
Oh.
So when it is running, it's so smooth because it takes all the vibration out of it.
Is it? Oh, that's incredible.
It's in park.
Wow, what an incredible machine this is. Built up out of a spare Lister stationary engine. What an incredible machine. Right, let's carry on down here. We've got the little BSA from 1966, a Honda monkey bike, 70cc.
I think it turns off just by him flicking the fuel valve off, just gradually.
Francis Barnett. They were very famous, especially after the war, for producing lots of lightweight two-stroke machines. Triumph, single-cylinder Triumph for Greaves. That's a make probably most often associated with like off-road scrambling or motocross, as you'd probably call it now. But Greaves, scramble bikes were all the rage. Those and DOTs. That was another make of popular scrambler in the 40s and 1950s. DOT. Devoid of trouble. There's some confidence in your product. BSA, Norton. Lovely BSA twin there. And another Beezer with sidecar. Look at that polished aluminium sidecar. What a machine that is. I do like that. VP sidecars. What a treat to have a ride in something like that. There we go, sole manufacturers, VP Sheet Metal Limited, Windsor Street, Cheltenham in Gloucestershire. Because of course after the war there was loads of surplus aluminium around. When the requirement to build lots of aircraft subsided, they had to find a use for all this surplus aluminium, so people started building caravans and all sorts of things. And this is a sidecar, the VP Viper Sports sidecar body, manufactured from aluminium alloys, designed on a stressed skin principle, giving greater strength for the amazing lightweight of 61 pounds. And how sleek is that? That's a great looking combination. If you like your old sidecars, have a quick look on the Old Classic Car website, the main OCC, the oldclassiccar.co.uk site, because in the image archive section there is a whole group of period sidecar photographs, and there are some amazing machines going right back to the 1920s and before. This is probably just post-war, I would have thought. Presumably that's a brochure for this particular bike. 500 overhead valve, model M33. Oh, what a great combination. There's quite an assortment of classic motorcycles here, so we'll just carry on down here, and we have another BSA. Wow, look at the sidecar on that. Now, Watsonian was one of the most prolific manufacturers of sidecars in this country. Is that what this is? Yes, there we go. Watsonian there on the very rare centre cap there with the manufacturer's name on it. Yeah. So you've got a bit of weather protection there for the passenger, the lucky passenger. So it's the Watsonian Wessex. I've not seen this one before. It's a very sleek little number. I like the shape of those mudguards. It's a great pair of motorcycle and sidecars. Okay, we've got a Honda CB 250 and a pretty spectacular looking Sunbeam. What a lump of engine that is. Wonderful. We've got Hondas here. Kawasaki, the little Honda, is that about 125 I would have thought. Lambretta. And here, a rally bicycle fitted with the Cycle Master engine within the back wheel. I remember years ago, 30 odd years ago, a friend of mine had one of these. And one of the entertainments for the weekend, if we went to a show, was to see if you could actually get it to run. And occasionally it would run, but it wasn't the most reliable of things. But presumably back in the day, these were quite a nifty little idea. So you just swap out the rear wheel. You come with a little, there's a fuel tank is built in to the rear wheel, so you've got the engine. So all you have to do is connect up the controls up to the handlebars, throttle presumably, and there you go. All built in to the back wheel. Very, very clever design. At the end of this row we have the Velocette, a 350cc Velocette MAC. Lovely bikes these are. Reminds me of the Venom Clubman, or the Clubmanized Venom that we had until just a few years ago. That was my late uncle's. And I remember that going back to the late 1970s. There's a beautiful low slung Rudge. Bit of info on the front. Special 500cc 4-valve, born in 1937. That is just glorious. Enjoys 100 octane aviation gas and lubrication of Castrol R. So it even smells proper as well. That is just the perfect bike, isn't that just wonderful? Really low slung saddle. Yeah, proper bike. Somewhat smaller, probably similar age, is this Excelsior alongside it. That looks like a nice oily ragger. Got a Triumph over here, Norton. I don't know a huge amount about motorcycles, so please forgive me. We've got a bonny little Norman Nippy here. I do have a soft spot for old mopeds, having been brought up and around old rally runabouts, 49cc rally mopeds. This is also 49cc, 1961. Ooh, £950. That is immaculate. Can't be that one, surely. Nut and bolt restoration with a coat of paint. And it comes with a bike trailer. It can't be this one, surely. 162 XVY. It is this one. Ooh. £950 with a bike trailer with it. Well, you know, it's quite a tempting machine. It even has a proper KLG, Kenham Lee Guinness spark plug cap on it, made in England. Yeah, that looks like a really smartly turned out old moped. And often, for about £1,000, you usually get some quite scruffy things, but this actually looks alright. The rear wheel's been painted rather than chromed, but the chrome on the front wheel is still holding up very nicely. Yeah, what a neat little machine. No speedo on it. That's interesting. No. I like the way. Yeah, I like the way the fuel tank is built into the upper sort of part of the frame. That's quite neat. So I'm assuming this is sort of like a pressed steel frame. Yeah, that's very neat indeed. Right, let's carry on along past the highly tempting Norman Nippy. It's better not hang around here too long because I might do something I'll regret. So let's carry on. BSA. Another Greaves Sports. Francis Barnett. All these British bikes. And then we're on to the Japanese, the Kawasaki, Honda again. Another Greaves. Now here is one of the off-road Greaves scramblers, presumably late 40s, 1950s. Some of my great uncles in mid-Wales were big on trials motorcycling. Just after the war they set up the International Welsh 2 days trials. Honda here, twin. Let's carry on here. We've got a Triumph here. Let's carry on the scooter along here. Yamaha 400. Another Greaves. They're very well represented here today. Biza, Triumph. What do we have here? The new Hudson. These are like a moped or autocycle, I think they're sometimes referred to as. But that is super duper original. Again, very unusual style of frame. Yeah, with the sort of the cranked upper part of the frame with the tank here.
It's 50s in there.
Yeah, so you measure in your 2-stroke oil in with your regular petrol every time you go and fill up. Bicycle style hand pump for the tyres. Very bonny old machine.
Look at that.
Look at this glorious flat tank BSA hand gear change there. Nickel plating throughout. There's the proper klaxon hooter.
One of these is sold on eBay. 640 quid.
Okay, we'll have a quick look down here, and we have another engine assisted bicycle. Now what is this? I know you could get something called a power pack which had the engine hung over the rear wheel, but what is this one? Are there any clues anywhere as to what we are looking at here? It would appear not. This one has the engine obviously hung out over the front wheel, so that must affect your steering a little bit. That's just the choke arrangement, I think. Quite neat. These engine assisted bicycles are cool. Then we've got a corgi.
You can buy just the engine still now and do it.
You might find engines that could be fitted to bikes. Yes. Okay, let's carry on down here. We've got Hondas. A couple of BSA Bantams here. The 125cc. Now some of these used to have painted body colour or frame coloured wheels. These are both on chrome wheels, and most of the ones I've seen of these are usually green painted rims, so I'm not quite sure when the change was made. Got a Sinclair C5. These used to get these serviced. I think it was your local Hot Point dealer used to be able to service those for you. Another pretty groovy sidecar combination, this time a Panther motorcycle here. Look at the engine on that, what a piece of engineering that is. Such a variety of engine designs on these old British bikes. Big Honda 750 4-cylinder alongside it. Suzuki Matchless. Or Suzuki, have you owned any of these bikes? Let me know in the comments which is your favourite. Got a lovely BSA twin here. Honda CD200. And another Beezer. What's that? Oh yes, yeah, the forward-facing plate. There's this beautiful oily ragger BSA. Now that is quite something. That wears its age on its sleeve. The original registration, the original hand-painted plates. We like that. Nice simple lighting. Just the ammeter for instrumentation. No speedo on this. You can just imagine dragging something like that out of a barn somewhere, get it running, but leave it looking just as it was. Greaves Sports here. But I think I've just been told the cars may be heading towards the arena fairly soon. Lorries, then possibly the cars. So I think we will gravitate in the direction.
In between me liking stuff and stuff being scruffy.
You do seem to be drawn towards
Yeah.
the scruffiest
That's
cars
just
and
so
motorcycles.
Nice. I love that.
Do you?
Like the back wing's just so nice. Like.
It just shows age and, you know.
I love the sort of low slung pre-war look, like that Rudge. Just pre-war bikes just look.
Anything with a sprung saddle I like.
Yeah.
You know, anything with like an oversized bike seat, I like the look of, like this. You know.
Yeah, because like I look at like this Honda and that BSA, they're cool. Like the BSA is cool, but they're just a bit upright.
Yeah.
Because I prefer like the sort of
Yeah, a bit lower slung, aren't they?
I just really like how the seats are so low and just, like you're sat right over the rear wheel.
Yeah, you'll have to do your bike licence when you've passed your car test.
I'm starting to walk towards like vintage bikes.
You're getting towards vintage bikes. Well, before I was interested in cars when I was really small. I was all motorbikes and aircraft.
Yeah, well, I'm just conscious that I have very little money. It might be more affordable to get like a 20s moped or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not that old, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Right, let's head off in the direction of the arena and see what's going around next. It is in fact the cars heading around the arena at the moment. Got here just in time. Let's see a few of these cars on the move. It's always nice to see them moving under their own steam. There's that Mark III Mini, a 25 Cowley, one of the little Heinkel bubble cars there. If the M25 existed in the 1970s or the 1960s, maybe it would have looked a little bit like this. A few years separating those two Fords.
Right, let's get you in the lineup as soon as we can. Right, we've got a good cross section. We keep on coming. So we'll see what's what. Obviously, if we've got a couple of the same, we'll have a word with one of you. Otherwise, we're boiling the same thing twice. So bring the pop down here. Oh, lovely walking miles at this rate. Right, from military to vintage cars. So a Morris Cowley, a
Bull-nosed Morris called Molly, 1925, we're going to celebrate 100 years next year. I've only had it for 2 years and I haven't had a chance to go through it thoroughly, and have now decided it's going to stop on me.
right.
So we might be talking out behind the door.
Right, a nice Rover. How did you do? How are you, mate?
All the car owners are being interviewed at the moment here in the arena. Lots of interesting facts. For example, that Model Y, the current owner's had it 12 years. He's got the 10-horse engine in it, probably out of a Ford Pop, and he's done around 20,000 miles in that little Model Y, which is just incredible. We do see it at quite a few meetings throughout the year. most notably perhaps Alton Park. It often pops up there.
You don't. What about, do you go on a journey in it, or does it take too long?
Oh no, I do regular runs, 100-mile run on it.
Really? Yeah, that's it. There we go. Giant stack. Yeah. So just with everything, we don't know where we're going to go, do we? You know what I mean? This won't be the same with an electric engine in it, will it? But there we go. Right. Now then, the next one. Again, in the top 10 of the most popular cars. Yeah, well, it's lovely. The only thing with the old Malpas now, parking.
Really loud.
We've just spotted this lovely Bedford here. We are in this stationary engine field, but I spotted this in the distance. I thought, I've got to come and have a look at this. There's something about the cab that looks very different compared to the regular British cabs. I'm wondering if this is coming from Australia. It's right-hand drive, but a lot of the vehicles that were shipped over there in the 40s and 50s had to have a certain amount of locally produced content, otherwise they got stung with huge import taxation. The old Bedford utes that I had years ago were like that. So the Bedford chassis and the front end were shipped over there in knockdown kit form, and then the bodies themselves were actually built by local Australian coach builders. And I've got a feeling that is what we're looking at here, because I don't think this is a standard British cab at all. Like I say, I could very possibly be very, very wrong on that. Always plenty of tractors here at Malpas, a huge array. David Brown's, Ferguson's, and in the foreground here, stunning Field Marshal. Yes, Harley's been back to the auto jumble area again, and he has brought this particularly special American oil filter in this, what a beautiful design of box, the Baldwin Deluxe original product. Let's just turn it round, have a quick look. The original absorbent fibre covered automatic wound element, 100% exposed filtering area.
I think
we're not quite sure.
But that's just me.
Yeah, we're not entirely sure what it's for.
It's different.
It's very similar to the Dodge actually. It's like a metal canister oil filter, so it may fit the Dodge, but I'm not sure to those. So this will just go into Ned or Fred the shared.
Yeah.
And I've also bought, if you could hold that, sir.
Yeah.
I've actually bought an old sack.
A ragged piece of cloth.
Ragged. Let's see if we can lay this on the floor.
No, it'll get wet.
And it is for a sack for marker, zamba, some sort of peas. But I figured, as the 47 Dodge pickup came from California and it was in an almond farm, this would almost look appropriate in the back. This is for a company in San Francisco, California.
It looks good on camera.
Yes, yeah, the colours look much better on camera than they are in real life. But I just thought that'd be an eye-catching thing just to chuck in the back of the pickup truck. And for the princely sum of £3, you can't really go wrong, can you? Well, I think we're going to start ambling back, so we thought, well, we'll cut through the classic caravan section. Just admire some of these period campers. There's a pretty special looking tow car. I remember seeing this one last time we came here. Yeah, there are a few spits and spots of the wet stuff just blowing in now. It's getting towards 5 o'clock, I think. So it's probably time to start hitting the road. Nice little Honda bike there from 64, a Mark II Transit, 1984. Several caravans. We've got a Rapido folding caravan over here. Bicycle over there. We will just carry on back in the general direction of the car park. So thank you so much for watching this particular video of the 2024 Malpas Steam Rally. It's been really interesting as always. Some yappy little dogs. So thank you very much for watching. Please check out the rest of the channel, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of thing. It really helps the channel grow, and there'll be many, many more videos along very, very soon. So bye for now. Plenty of gaps around the trusted little standard now. Here it is. So we'll fire up and head back home. Harley's clutching his box very earnestly. Indeed, yeah.
I honestly think that's 10 times better.
Well, it's way rarer, this, isn't it? Way rarer.
I've already got like 8 Castrol tins, but I don't think I'll ever find another one of those.
You won't find another one of those, no.
That's what I like.
No, it's just stunning.
I like parts.
Yeah.